Last time in Genesis. Okay, and we're back after a little hiatus. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I wish I could tell you that I didn't release anything last week because I was like doing some crazy thing, right? Like, hunting down some secret like terrorist or something. But no, I was just lazy. I didn't feel like doing it.
I don't really feel
But
like it.
we're back in Genesis. We last time we were here, we picked up with Noah and the flood, right? Then we got to some genealogies, and now we're about to get into the story of Abraham. Before we get into Abraham, we got to make the pit stop at the Tower of Babel, which I kind of find a little funny because I feel like this section of the Bible is kind of overrepresented outside of it. Because in the Bible itself, it's like a paragraph, but like outside the Bible, you see references to the Tower of Babel like in a lot of different places. But in Genesis 11, after the flood, humans get together and they sort of like, you know what? Let's make a tower that's going to reach into the heavens so that, our names can be glorified, right? And we don't want also to be scattered because if we make a tower, then everybody can come to one place. And God seen what they was doing. He's like, nah, we're not having none of that. So he confuses them by making them speak different languages. So one day, 1 second, one guy speaking English, the next guy speaking English, and then the other second, it's Spanish, Russian, whatever, right? And they wasn't trying to work through it. They just said, you know what, whatever. So they started scattering. So the purpose of the tower to like kind of glorify themselves and to stay united ended up backfiring because now they're scattered and they divide. And the city name was called Babel because God confused the language of the whole earth. I thought about making my channel name Biblical Blabber, but I like Yapper better. And then we get into some of the genealogies, and like I said, I'm just gonna skip up into Abraham because that's what this channel is for. I'm not gonna do the nitty gritty on all the genealogies. There's probably somebody out there doing that, and they could do a way better job than me. So after all the genealogies and babbling, we get to Abram, and God tells Abram to leave his land and go to a land He's going to show him, and He's going to make him a great nation, right? Bless His name. Those who bless you will be blessed. Those who curse you, I will curse, right? And in you, all the families of the earth will be blessed. And we know eventually we get the line of Jesus from this, right? But for now, it's just the Israelites. And Abraham listens, and he takes his nephew Lot with him, and he's a pretty old dude. He's 75 when he leaves, and then he goes to Egypt with his wife. Now, I'm not gonna lie, Abram is one of my favorite people in the Bible. Right? If I had to make a goat list of the people in the Bible, obviously God, Jesus, the Father, Holy Spirit, be over the list, right? But if I had to do like just regular people, um, Abram would probably be the first person to show up on it. Maybe Noah if he wasn't tripping. I don't know. But I like Abram, which is why it also sucks that he would end up on my fraud list if there was one because he listened to God, right? God said, "Hey, take up everything you have right now and just leave." And he listened, but this next part um yeah, it just shows that the people in the Bible can be role models in some aspect, but don't copy all the things they do. So they end up in Egypt, and he looks at his wife Sarah, and he's like, "Look, I know you're a beautiful woman, and when the Egyptians see you, they're gonna say, yo, that's his wife, and they're gonna kill me, but they'll take you and let you live, right? So please say that you're my sister, so it goes well because of you, and I may live on your account." So Abram, because he's afraid for his life, basically pimps his sister or his wife out, and the Pharaoh sees her and he takes her, right? And he treats Abraham well because of her. And then God strikes the Pharaoh with plagues because of him, the situation happening. And the Pharaoh said, "What have you done to me? Why did you not tell me she was your wife? Why did you say she's my sister?" So I took her for my wife. So now here's your wife and take her and go. So yeah, he kind of pimped his wife out because he was afraid to die. And okay, like looking at the text, uh this isn't the first time this happens, and this isn't the last time this kind of behavior happens, which is kind of crazy. But I don't know if the Pharaoh actually took her, like, and I slept with her. But regardless, I think Abraham, you really sold the bag here. Um, you have other parts that, like, put the bag up, but my Abraham stocks, like, you're not off to a good start, bro. You was off to a good start. You left the land when God told you to, and then the second you get into Egypt, like the men in the Bible, bro, you guys just keep letting me down. Like we get Adam, you guys know how I feel about Adam. Then Noah, Noah almost had a legendary run, and then he got drunk and just, got naked. Hey, I've been there, Adam, or not, and Noah. And then we get Abram pimping his wife out. So we're like 0 for 3 with men in the Bible so far. Editing Yapper here, or I guess Blabber for this video, but I just want to note that Abram technically isn't lying when he says that Sarah's his sister. She's his half sister. I don't get into it in this video, but this happens again, which whatever. But the next time it happens, he clarifies like, "Hey, she is my half sister." So technically, I'm not lying, but he's being deceitful, right? You can be honest and be deceitful. You can tell the truth without love, and that's why truth and love are both important together. It's not very loving of Abram to let people sleep with his wife because he's afraid to die, right? Um, so I just wanted to note that here. It's not just Abram making up anything. He is telling the truth. He's just a well, like the implication when people ask you, "Hey, who is she? Like, what is she to you?" and you say that's your sister, people are gonna think, "Oh, you're not sleeping with her," because you normally don't sleep with your siblings, right? So he's definitely being deceitful here. But calling him a liar is like, I guess, like technically he's not, but he is everything but name. After Abram's done pimping his wife out, him and Lot end up separating because they have too much like livestock in between them, and the land can't handle them both. So he gives them the choice between the land to pick, and Lot ends up picking the good-looking land and leaving the meh-looking land to Abram. And God reaffirms His promise to him. And God is a God who repeats Himself because humans in general just tend to forget things. God will say the same thing over and over and over again because people will forget, right? God will be like, "Hey, I will deliver you," and then people are like, "Will you really deliver me?" So we see a lot of this happening in the Bible. So after Lot goes and takes the good land, he ends up getting kidnapped with all his family by some kings that are warring in a nearby area. And one of the people who escapes from what happens tells Abram. So Abram gets his men together and they go and save Lot and his family. I want to note here, even though I've said it before, but reiterate, this is me just broadly going over the Bible. You should definitely read it for yourself. And I'm not gonna really cover everything here. I do go more into detail, like if I'm doing Bible study with friends or stuff. But for these videos, I want to keep it kind of short because if I yap for a while, it's gonna take forever, and I don't think anybody wants to hear me yap for hours on end. Um, and then we get Melchizedek. I'm not gonna lie, even though this is like my fourth or fifth time reading the Bible now, Melchizedek kind of confuses me still. So I'm kind of just gonna gloss over him. I might come back to him later. Um, but yeah. Then we get in Genesis 15, uh Abram, being reassured by God again that he's going to make him a great nation. And Abram's like, "Look, bro, I'm an old man. Like, how am I gonna have a great nation and I don't have any kids, dude?" And God lets him know. He's like, "Look, it's not gonna be your servant's kid that's gonna be your heir. It's gonna be a kid from you. Like you don't have to worry about that." And Abraham believes in God and it's counted to him as righteousness. We see this again in the New Testament. But if I had to like have stocks, Abraham's stocks are going back up, but they're gonna go back down in a little bit. But Uh, yeah. So the reason the Abram stocks go right back down is because, um, God in a previous chapter just promised like, hey, you're gonna have a kid from your own seed, right? So it's not going to be like you're adopting a kid and these promises are happening. But Sarah or Sarai, the names are funny sometimes, but Sarai sees that she doesn't have any kids and she's an old woman. So she's like, look, I have a servant here and God's not giving me any kids. So go into my servant and we'll have the kid of promise. Abram should have listened to that like feeling in his
Say,
head.
hold
Whereas, like,
up,
yeah, she's
wait a
talking
minute,
BS because
something ain't right.
he listens. They have a kid, and right after in verse 4, she after they Hagar has a kid, she kind of starts acting different to Sarai, and it says that like she's treating her different. And Sarai says to Abram, "May the violence done to me be upon you. I gave you my servant woman in your embrace, but she saw I have conceived, so I became contemptible in her sight. May Yahweh judge between you and me. I'm not gonna lie to you." Yo, Sarai stocks are down this chapter. What are we talking about? You were the one who said, "Yo, sleep with my servant." Now he slept with the servant, and you're mad at him. This is why if women come to you with ideas like this, you're supposed to say no. This was a setup. And Abraham fumbled because he said, "Yeah, I'm trying to get in them cheeks too, whatever." And he should not have listened to her. And Sarah ends up leaving because Abram's like, "Look, man, hey, that's your servant, bro. Do whatever you want to her." So, or rather, Hagar ends up leaving because Sarah ends up mistreating her. And God talks to Hagar, and he lets her know that, like, hey, um, your son ain't the son of promise essentially, but I'm still gonna bless your son, right? His name's gonna be Ishmael. He's gonna be a wild donkey of a man, and everybody will be against him, right? So Hagar blesses God because and she says like you are a God who sees, right? And Abram has Ishmael, but Ishmael isn't the son of promise. But here's where we're gonna leave it off to because I don't want these videos to get too long. Next time we pick up will be the later half of Abram's life, um, and the stuff that happens with Lot. And if you know what happens with Lot, well, I'll see you guys next video. Love you guys. God bless. Bye. Next time in Genesis.
Now, I tell you what, I like you and I want you. Now, we can do this the easy way or we can do it the hard way. The choice is yours.